everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. So I had sort of miscounted the videos that we were going to do, sort of. One technique I was going to show you, Joe said absolutely not. Do you remember this one here where we used a decoupage and I layered the paint down? I wanted to do it again, but put the sheet in the freezer, see what happened, and Joe said no. Because there's too much stuff in there. So he said no. So we're down to I think 6 videos, so instead of 7, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is with this one here, I didn't quite get the cracks that I was looking for. So I was thinking, well, I've always done this with glue. Well, DecoArt has a bead and glitter glue. I wonder if that would work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try that. If you're working on very thin paper, prime it with 1 to 2 layers of gesso. Anytime we're doing cracking and stuff like that, it's always good to have a good strong surface. I'm working with a disassembled Strathmore Visual Journal, so I'm okay. Paints right now, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm using the Traditions True Gold and Permanent Alizarin Crimson. And I'm just going to put this on with a foam brush. No, I'm not. I don't like using a foam brush with the metallic paints. Oh, Miss Mia just came to visit me. I'm going to use my 1-inch fusion brush. And some of you may say, well, why don't you use a dazzling metallics? Because I like to change things up. I get bored really fast. So I just like to try different things. Just to show you as many things as I physically and possibly can. Oh, Miss Mia is looking at all my stuff on my shelf. I think she's finally, oh, she's crying. She's finally woken up. She was at doggy day camp all day yesterday and she's absolutely tuckered out, and I think she's now starting to recover. She's waking up. Alright, so this is going to go in water. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this totally dry, and then when we come back we'll put on the bead and glitter glue, and then we'll layer the alizarin crimson and see what we get. You know what? I'm going to do another one. So I'm just going to prepare this one. I'm going to do the same thing here. I want to basically do the same technique, but one's with the metallic as the base. And the other one I'm just going to use a Derylid yellow. And I'm not going to use that brush. I'll just use this brush because this is really transparent. This looks very close to Indian yellow. Do you guys know, you want to be really grossed out? Do a search on the internet on the actual origin of how Indian yellow, the paint color Indian yellow pigment, was made. I didn't believe it when I found out. So anytime when there's a pigment that's not its true original format, I find out why. Ultramarine blue is another one, but that was more for cost saving. Why it's now synthetic, man-made. But yeah, the Indian yellow, ugh. I don't know what the old masters were thinking about. And you know, obviously I use way too much paint here. Let's scoop some of that back in here. I'm just a little anxious. Love this color. This is a great color if you're painting tigers. Even sunflowers, this is really nice. It's a nice mixing color as well. For Indian yellow, oh yeah. Very intense, very strong, transparent, beautiful. Okay, so how many of you actually paused the video to go and search Indian yellow? Really, how many of you did? So, you grossed out yet? That's what happens with actual, you know, natural, well, sort of natural paints. Okay. Now see here, I'm doing this, and the paint's kind of, it's not quite dry, and I'm picking it up. So I'm just going to stop. I'll leave that the way it is. Okay, so I've got two. I'm just gonna tap that back in there. I just made a mess. And so I'm going to do two backgrounds with this one. Same technique, but I'm using two backgrounds. One with the True Gold as the base, and the other one with Derylid Yellow as my base. And but the exact same technique. This is almost dried. And let me just get the heat gun out now. This has to be 150 million% dry before you can do this technique. And I will more than likely use up the entire bottle of the bead and glitter glue. So I don't run out on something else. I'm just going to do half the page. So if you've been watching these videos in progression, you know why I'm doing this with the heat gun with my hands. I'm not going to explain it again. Beautiful color, eh? Oh, that's gorgeous. And I'm looking at the screen, and the monitor is showing this as a little bit darker. And I'm looking outside because it's getting dark outside. I think we're in for a thunderstorm. So I'm just going to adjust the lighting for a second. There we go, it's a little bit better. Yeah, looking outside and it's not looking so nice out there. Alright. Now, I'm almost out of this. I'll have this bottle, so I'm going to shake up our paint. I'm going to see if I can get away with using this. Now, because I don't have a lot of, this is the only one I have left, I'm going to do just half the page. And we'll see what we can get with this type of look. So I'll put that one there, and I'll put that one there. Okay. And then I'm going to get a key brush. I don't like using my good brushes for this. I'm just going to kind of spread this out. Okay. I'm going to spread this out. I don't quite have enough on this one. Oh, you know what? If I use it all, I use it all. Let's do this right. Let's do this right. I used decoupage and Weld Bond for most of my gluing anyway, so this doesn't really matter. It's drying fairly quickly. Okay, so I've got that on, and then I'm going to bring out two brushes, and with this one here will be the, oh come on, Alizarin Crimson first. Going to go right into that, and just going to, is it the red? Yeah. Am I doing this right? Yeah, blue and red. Yeah, this is right. Sorry, I had to make sure I was using the right product. And I'm just going to load. Now the glue dries transparent. You don't want to overwork it. Then what I'll do, I'll just kind of do something like this, just to kind of break up the lines. Dry brush that. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside to dry, that brush in the water. That's going to go aside to dry. And then this one here now, I'm going to do the same thing with ultramarine blue. Wish I had a longer brush. I'm just going to go here. And the transparency of this should turn green. You just want to lay the paint on top. Don't overwork it. Otherwise all you're going to get is blue colored glue. And then how you finish off the rest is completely up to you. So I can do the same thing, just kind of go across. We can do some stenciling when it comes to decorating the page. We can do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to worry too much about how I'm going to accent that, but just to kind of break it up. And let's make a line here. Let's get some geometric shapes going on. Okay. There we go. Alright, so we're going to let this dry. This may take about 24 hours to dry. So we'll come back when these two are dried, and then we'll see how this experiment played out. Well, the experiment didn't quite work out the way I was hoping. It didn't work. So I did a couple of things off camera. This was the one here, if you look at the top. Okay, I already did the top. It didn't crack at all. And this one didn't crack at all. It actually was still wet. What I did is I actually put it in the freezer overnight to see if I could push it to do something, and nothing happened. So the beading glitter glue doesn't work for this process. So what I did, this one was the one that was done with the decoupage, the matte finish. Okay, and this one turned out beautifully. Turned out exactly the way it was supposed to. So what I did is I thought, well, what if we try with the decoupage gloss? So I did a small one here, and it is starting to crack. Very small right here. This one I did with Weld Bond glue. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So the only thing though, with Weld Bond glue, it's not a museum quality product, meaning you don't know what the long-term effects are going to be with, you know, regarding an art piece type of thing. I always prefer, when doing an art piece, especially if it's something you're going to, you know, what you want to keep for a long time, is you want to use art materials to do stuff. Because this is a background experiment, this is fine. This is for journaling. It's no big deal. But if you're actually creating a piece of art to give as a gift or something, I wouldn't do this technique. I would go with a proper crackling medium. But this is great in an emergency. In saying with this look, I love this. And although I probably wouldn't choose red and green for my own designing, this was more of a challenge because I like to push myself out of my comfort zone to work with things that I'm uncomfortable with, and high bright colors like this kind of freak me out. I love this look, and I can just imagine, just picture this being, think of the red being like a raw umber, and think of the these lines being something like a yellow ochre or a transparent yellow on our oxide. Make it look like tree bark. This is so cool. This is really, I love this. So anyways, a failed experiment, was able to turn it around to something else. But again, if, you know, to get this with the decoupage, it's this is the way I would do it now. I wouldn't bother even trying to find other ways. The crackling medium though, the Perfect Crackle is my favorite choice for doing crackling. And but this is actually quite cool too. This is going to take probably about a day to dry, but we'll leave it at that. Okay, so anyways, well, I don't know what to tell you. So this obviously didn't work. What I will do though, in another video, is I will show you how to basically take a page that didn't turn out the way you wanted to and basically turn it into something else. Because when I do art journaling or any type of art, I try to recycle my pieces 100%. So this, instead of throwing it out, I will turn it into something. To prepare for that though, let me get a texture tool. Okay, this is part of the application and texture set from Decor. It comes with these really cool things. What I will do though is I will take this little experiment here, and I will go on the ridge side, and I will just bring that right down and just break up all the paint. This is the part with the golden glitter glue. What I'm going to get is texture. And although the color looks absolutely awful, we can paint it. So we can turn this thing into something else. I turn that around. Okay. The colors work together because they're next to each other on the, well, they're within the primary colors. So the red and the blue just turn everything purple. So they do work well together. And all this white that you see is going to go transparent. So all I'm doing now is just kind of separating things around, moving things around, and you're basically just creating texture with it. Turn this here. You know what? Let me move this. Let me move this. Because you know what's going to happen, right? I'm going to go around right to the end. And as the pieces start to dry, more and more will scrape off. Everything's now just turning purple. And let's do this. Put the page on the top of it like that, and then we'll just do it again. Actually, let's do it the other way now. How cool is that? There we go. We have my background now. Look at this. You can use that for something else. So I can come in now and I can just scrape the paint off here. And let's see, I want to put a little bit more here. And I can come in, try to go over the same lines. You won't be able to. And what you're doing is that you're basically transferring the paint back on. And now the more times you do this, the mesh that you're creating, it becomes finer and finer and finer. And when you're holding your piece straight up, I should have explained this. When you're holding your piece down, you're making fatter lines, right? Okay, let me just grab a bit more paint. But when you hold your piece up like this, you're making very, very fine lines because you're working with the actual tips. So hold it straight up and you're actually working just the tips. Okay, just these tips. When you're holding it more flat, you're getting more of the plastic. Oh yeah, so we'll be able to use this. Now I have to dry this holding up like this. But there we go. So that actually turned out okay. That actually turned out, this looks like fabric. So that turned out all right. So when you do an experiment and it doesn't turn out, turn it into an opportunity. And if I press a little bit harder, I'm scraping the paint off, exposing more of the base. Now you can also go with these texture tools that have blocks on them. They have these really nice blocks. Does this one have a big block? No, where's the other one? There we go. This one has wide You can't even see that. Wide ones. You can make these at home, but they're so inexpensive, why bother? It's all on how you hold them. Now this one here's got a really nice wave. Yeah, you can't really see much because I've scraped so much off. This would actually be nice with the actual texture product. And then you've got the flat side where you can actually remove many parts of the piece. So now once you do that, don't leave it sitting on your craft mat too long, because it will, this won't stick to the craft mat, but you may peel the part of the paper off. So I'm just going to prop this against my bottle of decoupage while I clean this. So anytime that you've done a art piece that, obviously as I shown, it didn't turn out, and you know, I'm sure I'm going to get an email, why did you even bother showing it if it didn't work? Because I like to show when things fail. Not all things in art work out. And if you only showed, you know, if artists only showed perfect things that worked all the time, then when you have somebody who tries it and it doesn't work, you know, it's okay. But if they don't see that, you know, other ways to turn failures in art into something positive, then, you know, what's the point? There's always a way to fix things. So when something doesn't work, just turn it into something else. That just shows your creativity. And if you're not sure what to do with it right away, just put it aside, let it dry, put it aside, and put it into a pile, into a box that's, you know, call it, you know, the idea box or something. And to just do that with it. And just to give you an idea, I'm doing this, I'm spending time doing this because I want to show you something. Okay. See all this stuff here? This is a little bit bright. I might have to knock down the lights a bit. Hang on, let me see if I can. There we go. See all that here? This is all paint, you know, cleanups, and I'll do this and I'll do this. Just paint cleanups all on paper. This mat, this paper, this is just a roll of IKEA paper that I use to protect my table, only because Joe was getting on my nerves about how much I'm damaging my tables. And I'll put that craft mat away. I'm going to use this paper as my book cover for my Strathmore journal. It's just, why throw it out? Same thing with your journal pages. If you have a journal page that you don't like, why not use it as a book cover? Don't throw it out. It has a use for something. And at the same time, I've now almost run out of pages in my Strathmore journal. I didn't think I would. I have so many more backgrounds to do with you guys that I finally found a use for that chipboard set that I picked up at Michael's. That, let me just get it here. Oh, this thing here, I'm going to use it for the rest of the book of backgrounds. So I'm going to have 2 book of backgrounds. That one, I've already cut the pages for it, and I just use a Strathmore mixed media paper and cut all the paper apart, and it's ready to go. And then I can use whatever the paper is left over from here and decorate it, or, you know, you can do so much. I mean, this type of grungy background, this has so much opportunity. Look at that. You can do so many things with something that doesn't quite work. Oops, I didn't know that was there. And take the page edge and push over it. Use it as a stencil. Get really cool marks. Mangle the page. Make the page do something for you. turn an experiment, a failed experiment, into something positive. You know, use the page for die cuts. You know, cut them out into little pieces and use as embellishments for something else. This is, and the paint I'm using for this is alizarin, a permanent alizarin crimson, the Traditions. I mean, how cool is that? Do you know that it costs a lot of money to buy a stencil that actually does this? Well, why buy a stencil? Yeah, you want to support the local market, but I would rather take, for something like this, I would rather take the, you know, $10, $15, $20 going to cost me for a stencil to do this. And I would rather put it towards, you know, paint or brushes or something. How cool is that? And there we go. So there we go. This page I can see so much happening with it. This one here. And this one here I'll do something probably with a fabric theme. Not quite sure yet, but what I know what I'll probably end up doing, I'll probably put a wash of transparent red iron oxide on it just to tone it down. So there you go. So there's an idea how you can basically turn a failed experiment into something positive. Please don't throw your experiments or your, you know, when you're trying something, don't throw it away. Use it for something else. Use that as a theme for one of your journal pages. Maybe we'll do that in the second part of our series. So there you go. After seeing this whole mess, I hope that you still stay inspired and that you'll join me next time. See you later.